Hello everyone, Ember Power here and welcome back to a new video. In this one I'm going to be taking a look at an alternate format called EAB that I've been working on for the last few months. So what is EAB? So EAB stands for Everyone's a Basic, which is a little bit ironic because it's not for basic Pokemon. In fact, basic Pokemon are banned in this format, so it's exclusively for evolutions. It's single prize focused, but there are exceptions for Mega Evolution. There is some plans for GX, V-Stars, and potentially EX, VMAX, but I'll be going over at the end of the video. So there's only 2 of each Pokemon allowed per deck. This kind of limits broken combos and encourages more creativity. The format is pretty broken anyway, but limiting it to 2 copies per Pokemon means that players can be more creative with their builds. Abilities are also banned on the first turn for each player, because donks are a big problem. So basically you can't use abilities if you go first, and you can't use abilities going second, and abilities therefore activate as soon as the second player's turn begins. So as soon as their first turn goes again. You know what I mean? The person who went first has their second turn, that's what I meant to say. There's also a ban list to deal with oppressive and broken decks, and all this means the format can only be played IRL and on tabletop because there are no basic Pokemon. So key rule number 1, only evolution Pokemon. Basics are banned, so for the purposes of setting up and putting Pokemon into play from your hand, evolution Pokemon are treated as basics. However, they are still treated as evolution Pokemon for the purposes of both abilities and trainers. So for example, Quick Ball is useless, but Evolution Incense and Lure Ball are great cards. So for example, you can't use Nest Ball to find a Stage 1 or a Stage 2 Pokemon and put it onto the bench. But those evolution abilities that affect evolution Pokemon, they will all apply here. And so this means that you can set up with any evolution Pokemon and you can just play them onto the bench throughout the game. Key rule number 2 is that Pokemon can still evolve and break evolution. So Stage 1s and Stage 2s can still evolve given the normal rules of evolution, so you'd have to wait a normal turn. But this does allow for trainers such as Booster Shake and Evosoda to be played in the format. It also means that abilities that specify when this Pokemon evolves can still be used. So for example, you can play this Crobat from Darkness Ablaze, or I think it's Battle Styles actually, straight from your hand onto the bench if you want to. But if you decide to wait a turn and evolve one of your Golbats into Crobats, then you can use Drastic Draw, which says when you place Pokemon to your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may draw 3 cards. And this also applies to stuff like Linoone into Obstagoon, which is probably a better example as well. So abilities that specify when this Pokemon still evolve can also be used. Second point is that break evolutions are legal as long as they evolve from Stage 1s or Stage 2s. So cards that evolve from basics, e.g. Carbon Break, are not legal. So unfortunately, break evolutions, there is a couple of breaks like Carbon Break, Evolto Break, Ho-Ho, and Lugia Break, I believe are the only ones. Oh yeah, Xerneas Break, who all evolve from basics. So unfortunately, those are like the evolution Pokemon that can't be played. But you can still play break evolutions for stuff like Luxray. So for example, you can branch Luxray as normal or open with him at the start of the game, and then from there on out you can evolve into the Luxray break. So key rule number 3 is that abilities are blocked going first and going second. This seems crazy, but it prevents donks going second and either player having a significant advantage over the other. If this rule was not in place, the ban list would probably take most of the card pool with it, and this is true. There's just far too many abilities that place damage counters or allow you to get in a much more advantageous state of the game. If this was ever to change, however, draw abilities would be added first. So for example, stuff that says draw cards, anything like that, could be added in the future, but to keep it simple, all abilities are currently blocked. So the next effect is that all abilities become active as soon as the player going first begins their second turn. So if the player going second places down any bench protection, for example, it would activate on the first player's second turn. So if you go first, you put a Spread Attacker into play, the opponent going second sees this and they decide to bench something like a Machoke, then that Machoke would activate when the first player begins their second turn. So just an example down here, the Enteion and Obstagoon combo is really devastating, and this could be possible just going second, so you could just place 2 damage counters and then use Merciless Strike to get a free 1-hit KO. So that's kind of like why abilities have to be controlled. Key rule number 4 is that Pokemon are limited to 2 copies. So this limits the power of Deluge Engines, the irony being Blastoise is a little too good here. But it just means that players can be more creative with their decks, and instead of just playing 4 Kingdra, for example, you can start to play other attackers like Swampert and Wailord. So here are an example of some Deluge Engines for EAB. one Deluge Engine for nearly every type. The only ones left out are currently Fairy, Psychic, Fighting, and Colorless Dragon, if you regard them as typings. This allows for many attackers to be used that require a lot of energy. So in this format, you kind of have to view that every Stage 1 and Stage 2 is a basic, so you can just put them onto the bench without needing their previous evolutions. So all of these Deluge attackers suddenly become a lot better. There's also some additional engines for energy acceleration. Most of these are filling a niche category. For example, Colossal and Swampert are like the only ways to accelerate fighting energy really outside of Claydol. There's also some ones that accelerate two different types of energy, sometimes from the deck, such as the Vikavolt, or sometimes from the hand, such as Dragonite. There's also ones such as the Florges, which reduces the attack cost of Fairy Pokemon, and Gardevoir, which effectively doubles the amount of energy attached to all Pokemon. So most of these are like weaker in comparison to Deluge Engines, but examples like Florges are still the best option for Fairy types. So you can play around with different typings with these additional engines. So some staples to consider is that Delphox and Beautifly offer amazing draw power for any deck. It's essentially the best draw power in the entire format. Just the once in your turn you may draw until you have 6 cards in hand. Incineroar and Aegislash are also great. They act as counterweights to each other. So Incineroar says all your Pokemon do 30 more damage, and then Aegislash says all your Pokemon take 30 less damage. And then Machoke says prevent all damage done to your bench Pokemon by your opponent's attacks, and your opponent's attacks and abilities can't place damage counters on your bench Pokemon. So against spread decks, Machoke is just really good. There's also Venusaur with the ability Fluorescent. This is once in your turn you may search your deck for Pokemon. If you think you need it, Pokemon search in this format is just extreme, so Venusaur is a bit of an option. You don't have to include it, but it is certainly a nice option to consider if you need to get a lot of Pokemon out. Just looking at the ban list as an overview, it's obviously not, final. Ban lists are subject to change, as they always should be. They can be changed throughout time just to see if any more attackers get released, such as those in the Scarlet and Violet era that could be too strong for EAB. So for example, this Shiftry is a good example of a card that's banned. Has an attack that costs 1 Grass Energy, Tearing Gust, that says put this Pokemon and all the cards attached into a Lost Zone, but it does 210 damage. So it can one-hit KO not just Stage 2 Pokemon, but also some Mega Evolutions, so it's just a far too strong of a card to be allowed in the format, sadly. So this is currently the ban list. If you just want to quickly look at the bottom right-hand corner here, we have a Kingdra, Salamence, and Flygon. All of these have the exact same ability. Basically, you can shrink your opponent's hand size down to 4 cards, which is obviously very extreme, given the fact this is a Pokemon that you can effectively put onto your bench. It's also sad to see that there's a lot of just really fun cards here, but unfortunately they are just a wee bit too strong. Stuff like the Cinderace can get pretty crazy pretty quickly. The Nidoqueen and the Torterra have a similar issue. For example, Torterra's attack Everpress for 2 energy says this attack does 50 damage for each of your evolution Pokemon in play. Spoiler alert, there is only evolution Pokemon in the format, so stuff like Torterra and Nidoqueen are definitely a lot stronger than other Pokemon. But yeah, a lot of broken cards, a lot of broken Pokemon. Kind of have an overview. If you want to play a more, relaxed casual experience, then this ban list doesn't have to apply. Obviously, I'm not monitoring every IRL game that people play with this format, so feel free to include some of these, but this is just currently what I have going on. There's also some banned trainers and energy. Several trainers and energy have been banned. Most of these are to do with healing, like Acerola, Charon's Care, Cheryl, Max Potion, Scoop Up Net, and Battle Compressor. But basically, you can choose what to not ban with trainers, I feel, because it's more of a personal taste. Do you want to play in a format where players can constantly use Acerola and Cheryl and kind of prolong the game? Or do you not mind that in a way and just, you prefer that? So this is kind of open to personal interpretation more than anything, but it is recommended. And there's also a current watch list of roughly 20 cards. Realistically, this should be way bigger, but I just thought I'd pick out 20 cards that are the most notorious, probably, in EAB. Most of them do have to do with the opponent's top, or not the opponent's top deck, but your top deck. So, for example, the Chandelure with Spirit Burner, or Gyarados with Distill Blast, are all very devastating attackers. It just means you can play a few Pokemon in your deck and then a load of energies and consistently get one-hit KOs, which is pretty broken. Obviously, stuff like Flapple and Weavile with the out of mission attacks, doing 50 for each of your opponent's abilities is obviously very strong as well. So just stuff on the watch list to consider and watch out for. So looking at this, I've actually got a sample deck list that I was testing out in real life. Personally, I think this list does not need the amount of draw power that it has. After some testing, I would probably go back and remove an auxiliary, I think, because it's just too extreme. It doesn't need this amount of draw power. But this is just a sample list of a Deluge Engine with focusing around Blastoise to accelerate energy to Kingdra, Swampert, and then Samurott and Wailord. So pretty fun deck. I do recommend giving this one a go if you're a fan of Deluge Blastoise. And this is just kind of showing an example of what a deck could look like. So EAB feature is that Mega Evolution were eventually added to the format. So when I initially started work on this video, fun fact, Mega Evolution weren't really under consideration, and this was more of a, maybe something that could be added. But the more and more I thought about it, I figured, yeah, Mega Evolution do fit the bill. So they're a good choice because they don't go beyond 2 cure range for EAB attackers, and they give up 2 prize cards. How they would be implemented into the format is that you would need the chosen Spirit Link attached to another Pokemon. So you don't actually need the Spirit Link attached to the Pokemon that you're going to evolve. You just need the Spirit Link attached to, anything in play basically, and then you can evolve, or not evolve, but bench a Mega Evolution Pokemon. However, if you don't have a Spirit Link, benching one would end your turn, just like evolving them in the TCG. If you have any questions regarding how any of that works, then let me know in the comment section if none of that is very clear. But yeah, Mega Evolution Pokemon are really fun because they just add a lot of unique attacks. Stuff like Rayquaza's Emerald Break is a bit of a fan favorite. Also stuff like Mega Steelix can get pretty funny with Porygon Z because you can accelerate both special Metal Energy and special Fighting Energy to it. So yeah, pretty fun attackers. EAB potential future evolved GX Pokemon. I mean, GX Pokemon are kind of like a can of worms because there's a few of them that are really cool. The Porygon Z GX, for example, is pretty cool. Decidueye GX is kind of cool, but the big issue is they kind of have more HP-ish than Mega Evolutions, and they typically do an awful lot more damage, and they have sometimes broken healing moves or broken GX attacks. So I'm still open to consideration and suggestions as what to do with GX Pokemon. The format doesn't necessarily need them, but it would be a shame if they were left out completely. So what about V-Stars, VMAX, and EX? Unfortunately, I don't see VMAX being added anytime soon. Maybe somewhere down the line. They're just too big for the format. Being able to open or bench one of these guys is a wee bit of a problem. Some of the ones like Hatterene and Umbreon that don't necessarily one-hit KO your opponent's active necessarily without a lot of modifiers could be okay because they don't obviously one-hit KO Mega Evolutions. Some V-Stars might be okay as long as they can't one-hit KO Megas, e.g. Lugia or Palkia without big setbacks. So V-Stars like Lugia and Palkia will never be added to this format, but yeah, there's just some that are just a wee bit too strong. Example of one that's pretty balanced is actually Unknown V-Star or Cleaver, which I think are pretty well balanced, but yeah, we'll have to see in the future. But yeah, thanks for watching. Any feedback would be appreciated, of course. I'd love to continue making videos to this format if people are interested enough. Unfortunately, with it being limited to IRL tabletop, or IRL or just tabletop, it just means that you can't really do gameplay for it on TCGO or Pokemon TCG Live, which is unfortunate, but yeah, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think down below. It's been Ember Power, and yeah,